Once again, the NASCAR Winston Cup community is saddened. Ernie Irvan fights for his life after an accident here at Michigan International Speedway yesterday. Our thoughts and prayers are with him today and all members of his family.
Hi, this is Richard Petty, and we're back. Last time you saw the STP Pontiac on the front row, I was driving in the 1992 Pepsi 400. She's on the front row again, but this time I'm the car owner.
ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, welcomes you live to Michigan International Speedway in live coverage of the GM Goodwrench 400. It is a very cloudy day here in Michigan. The temperature is only 66 degrees and there's a stiff northwesterly breeze. But the good news is there's only a 30% chance of rain. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. It's been a very emotional weekend here at Michigan International with the injury suffered by Ernie Irvan, and we will update you on his condition in just a few moments. But we must forge ahead. The race must go on, and we must cover the other stories that have developed here this weekend. And certainly one of the most interesting has been John Andretti. In his first ride for King Richard Petty, he's put the STP Pontiac on the outside of the front row. With more on that, here's John Kernan.
You know, Bob, last week at Watkins Glen, John Andretti told me he'd retired from Winston Cup stock car racing. Well, a week later, he comes out of retirement with a bang, missing, edging out Jeff Bodine for the pole by just 9 1/1000ths of his second. John, your first race for the King here in this very famous number 43 car. How do you approach it?
Well, I think you have to just be a little bit conservative and get through the first few laps and then just take it from there. I'm just going to find a pace that I'm happy with and don't have a lot of race time or a lot of time in this race car, so just want to be careful and hopefully get 200 laps in and see what we can get out of it.
Well, Bobby doesn't sound pumped up right now, but he was all day yesterday, also after qualifying on Friday, and his team, led by Robbie Loomis, the crew chief, they are ready to go out and put the STP Pontiac in victory lane today.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a renewed spirit with that team here this weekend. Well, obviously, the quest for the Cup points battle is going to be drastically affected by Ernie Irvan's injuries. He came into this event 27 behind Dale Earnhardt. The real battle is for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, as those three are separated by only 39 points. The second 5, Ricky Rudd, Morgan Shepherd, Jeff Gordon, Michael Waltrip, and Lake Speed. Now, there are other stories, as we indicated, to update you on here today, and of course the most important is the condition of Ernie Irvan. And with that, here is Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you, Bob. In all due fairness, the real battle is not the quest for the Cup. The real battle takes place about 60 miles from here right now, where Ernie Irvan is at St. Joe's Mercy Medical Center in critical condition. Now, the word is that Ernie has been stable through the night. As stable as you can be when you're in critical condition. We are told the pressures have stabilized. He is able to be ventilated well. The injuries to both lungs, we are told, are responding. They have been able to reinflate the lung areas that were compressed with the injury. The pressures in the head, of course, are stable, we are told. The family, very, very cautiously optimistic. Kim and Jordan, who are at his side at the hospital, we are told, will be watching this morning. As you heard Bob Dickens say, the thoughts and prayers are with you and the Irvan family. They know Ernie Irvan is a fighter. The drivers here know how tough he is. Now their job is going to be very tough as well. How tough is it to get in this race car? How do you deal with the ebb and flow of emotion? No one better to answer that question than our former Winston Cup champions, Ned Jarrett and Benny Parsons.
Jerry, it's going to be very, very tough for these guys to go out and do the job because there isn't a driver, a crewman, a television commentator that isn't thinking about Ernie Irvan and his battle. And, you know, you just got to feel for Robert and Carolyn Yates and Larry McReynolds, that entire crew. What an emotional roller coaster. First, Davey flipped at Pocono. And then a year later, he crashes the helicopter. He dies. Ernie Irvan gets in the car. And now it's a year later, and they're watching Ernie as he fights for his life. Man, I just can't believe what these folks are going through. But, Ned, Bob Jenkins talked about the point standings, and one thing this is going to do, they've only got one guy to catch now.
Yes, Dale Earnhardt, of course, is leading the point standings. Ernie was in second place. But if he has to miss more than 2 races, Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, and Ken Schrader are all in striking distance. They can move past him, and if Earnhardt should falter a little bit somewhere along the way in a couple of races, they'd all be right up there in the thick of the battle for the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. Of course, Rusty Wallace won here in June, so he likes this racetrack. Mark Martin won here last year very convincingly, so he likes this racetrack too. But how emotional is this for the drivers to get in their race cars after what they've had to go through for the last 24 hours thinking about their friend laying in the hospital? Well, Jerry Punch had an opportunity to talk to Mark Martin just moments ago before he got into his race car.
Thank you, Ned. You know, Mark Martin dominated at Watkins Glen a week ago, and everyone said that's the big story this week. His season has totally turned around, and Mark, maybe the run will begin as it did a year ago, but now your best friend lies fighting a different battle just a few miles from this racetrack. How do you put all this in perspective as you're about to start today's race?
Well, we all come to win this race, Jerry, and that's what it's all about, and we're ready to go do that with this Valvoline team. It's just it's a tragedy, and in this business you don't have very many friends, and you know, I don't plan on losing this one, and I just want to ask everybody out there to say a prayer for Ernie.
A very tough statement by Mark Martin, who, by the way, has parked his bus beside Ernie's for many, many months now. They are the best of friends. And certainly Mark shares our hopes that Ernie will completely recover from the injury suffered in the accident yesterday here at Michigan. The cars are getting ready to go, and we'll be back with the start of our race in a moment.